Welcome into College Corner for championship week in college football. We've got a smaller slate of games, but that doesn't mean we're not going to be betting on it. I've got 4 of my favorite plays this week, including one for the ACC Championship between Georgia and Alabama. I probably won't be limited to just 4 plays this week. I'll probably have more, so drop me a follow on Twitter. I'll include the link to my Twitter down below in the description. Got to find a play for Oregon and Washington on Friday night. Don't have one right now, but we'll hopefully find one. Let's get into my favorite plays for this week. First up, going to the Sun Belt Championship game, I like Troy minus 5.5 against App State. I think this App State team is a little bit overrated. They've definitely gone on quite the run to get to this championship game, including beating James Madison on the road. But defensively, aren't anywhere near the unit that Troy is. They're 112th in opponent EPA per rush, so have struggled against the run this season, and 42nd in EPA against the pass. So not particularly an elite defense, where this Troy team is very, very good. Top 10 in EPA against the run and 13th in opponent EPA per pass as well. So I like this defense having a major advantage, and then that rushing defense from App State struggling is a great way to keep this team at arm's length, being able to cover and win this game by a touchdown plus. But I like what Gunnar Watson and the Troy offense can do. They've got some explosive receivers to be able to generate some big plays if App State does find ways to score. And Troy defensively, what I really like is they do like to blitz quite a bit, over 40% of plays on the season. And Joey Aguilar has had a significant amount of mistakes against the blitz. He has the 10th highest turnover-worthy play rate against the blitz and 12 total turnover-worthy plays. He's also second in the country with 7 interceptions, all coming against the blitz. So there are some concerns here of App State potentially giving Troy some short fields to be able to score, or in this game not being able to climb back against this really elite defense while the Troy rushing offense finds success. Troy gets this game at home as well. I like them under a touchdown. They've been a very, very good team all season, and I think they're being a little bit disrespected in this one, so anything under a touchdown I do like. Now let's go to the AAC. I like SMU plus 3.5 in this game against Tulane. I wish I got this in earlier because you could have found this at around 5.5 or so earlier this week. But even with the news of Preston Stone not playing in this game, we've still seen this number drop. And I think that's a testament to, if you've paid attention to this SMU team over the last number of years, you've known them for offense, but this year the defense has played extremely well, and I think that's the reason why this number keeps coming down. They're 8th in opponent EPA against the pass, a top 10 team against the pass, and a top 30 team against the run, 28th in specific. So I think the defense can manage the loss of the starting quarterback, and as well, you look at the head coach, Rhett Lashley, a fantastic play caller. I think he can scheme things up for this offense, and it's really not that much of a dependence on the quarterback and more just the coaching. I don't think Preston Stone is some fantastic talent that elevates this offense too high. This isn't to say the freshman Kevin Jennings is a fantastic talent or the equal talent to Stone, but I still think they can manage to get at close to the same amount of quality play at the quarterback position. Because at the same time, they like to lead on their ground game anyways. They run the ball in over 54% of plays, which is about 47th in the country. So they do want to run the football. Both teams, in fact, want to run the ball. Tulane's like 59, almost 60% of plays. They're like a top 15 team in run rate. I think Tulane this season, has had the benefit of having the edge in the trenches against the majority of their opponents. They've had really good talent there. But I definitely think that SMU can manage that talent. So on the season, Tulane's got a 20% sack rate, which is 18th in the country. But SMU's done a great job protecting. They're a top 30 team when it comes to sack rate allowed and pressure rate allowed. So I think they can manage this defense, and I think they can do enough on their own defensive side to be able to stay in this game and cover 3.5. This is a pretty low total. I believe it's around 47.5 or so. Low total. I like him getting more than a field goal. I'll take SMU to cover. Definitely think they have a good chance to win this game and handle Michael Pratt in this Tulane offense. The 4 o'clock slate is going to be a mega sweat because those 2 games are at 4, and this next one here, the SEC Championship game, is also at 4 o'clock. I like Alabama's team total to go under. Yeah, I'm under 24.5 points. We've seen people hammering the over in this game, and honestly, my first thought on the total, I kind of was like, yeah, the over's got to be hitting these 2 teams when they tend to meet up. We see a lot of points, but I think the difference is Bama does not have the quarterback to be able to do that in this matchup. I do not trust Jalen Milroe, and I know a lot of Alabama fans might be upset with that, but I think back of their head, they're thinking, yes, it's been a good couple of weeks, but is this quarterback at an elite level in the SEC or just in college football in general? And I think this is as good a spot as any to sell high on Jalen Milroe, who's super reliant on downfield explosive passing plays. Over 47.5%, almost 50% of his passing yards this season have come on passes of 20-plus air yards. That's because he's completing these passes at a really high rate. 55.2% completion percentage is second in the entire nation. But this is an insane stat. I couldn't believe this when I looked at it. Jalen Milroe has a higher completion percentage on passes of 20-plus air yards than he does on passes in the intermediate areas of the field between 10 to 20 yards, where he's completing 54.5% of his passes. So if you force Milroe to play in the shorter areas of the field and get down the field methodically, you're going to find success because he does not throw the ball with the type of accuracy in touch in those intermediate areas of the field like he does downfield. And Georgia's going to take that away from this offense. I'm positive of it. They have an excellent secondary. Pretty much every guy in that secondary is going to be an NFL draft pick and probably an early round NFL draft pick. Opposing quarterbacks are completing just 24.6% of their passes of 20-plus air yards, which for Georgia ranks 12th in the country, and they're allowing the second lowest passer rate. They have a number of interceptions against these passes. Not only that, it's not just that these numbers and percentages are great. They actually see these types of passes a ton. There's opposing teams on the season, 61 pass attempts of 20-plus air yards, which is the 27th most in the country. So they've seen this at a good volume, and they've managed it time and time again. This is exactly what they need to do defensively, take away the deep part of the field, and Jalen Milroe, I think, will struggle. What I also don't trust is the Alabama rushing game between Roydell Williams and Jace McClellan. They haven't run the ball all that effectively this season, and they've leaned on Milroe to hit these big plays to move this offense. They're averaging just 4.5 yards per carry. Hasn't been that elite level you'd expect in seasons past from Bama. This is why I think this is a different year than it's been in the past between these two teams. Bama as well, because of these explosive plays, they haven't found themselves in the red zone too much. They're actually 55th in red zone opportunities this year. So they're not an elite unit as well when it comes to converting those red zone opportunities into touchdowns. They're outside the top 20. So if they have to methodically move the ball down the field and score in the red zone, I think they're going to leave points on the board. I mean, there's been a couple of games here this season where they've scored less than this 24.5. South Florida, Ole Miss, Arkansas. There's been some games where they narrowly gotten over it against Texas A&M and Auburn last week. Probably shouldn't have gotten over it against Auburn last week, but did find a way to do so. I think this is too many points for Alabama at the 24.5. I think this is going to be somewhere they're scoring between that 17 to 21, and this Georgia team really, really kind of stifles them offensively, and this game might be a little bit more low scoring than people expect. And finally, can't go a week of college football without a player prop. Today's video, every video is brought to you by props.cash. If you guys haven't had the chance to check them out, you can use promo code OwnersBox for 25% off your first month. Awesome player prop tool in basically every single sport you're betting on right now to be able to help you find data and information that you need to know before you make your bets, and also do it in a very simplified way. So I'll show you exactly what we're talking about. What I'm on here is Isaac Guerendo over 62.5 rushing yards. So Guerendo's been seeing his role increase pretty significantly here because Jawar Jordan, the guy that's been the starting back for Louisville all season long, is I'm very well positive banged up. He's missed some time, but also tried to play through it. And as a result, he's looked nothing like himself and hasn't run the ball super effectively. Guerendo's been healthy. Guerendo's been getting the ball more. So more opportunities been great for him. Looking at this data from props.cash, he's gone over in 3 of his last 4 games, went under last week against Kentucky. Definitely a defense I think is better against the run than what Florida State is, and also a game that Louisville found themselves trailing in and trying to get back into. As well, you look at those last 2 games, like I mentioned, with Jordan and his injury, 15 and 13 rush attempts in those 2 games. So getting some pretty good volume compared to what he was early season when he wasn't going over this number. What I also see in the forecast in Charlotte is calling for some rain on Saturday, which will definitely have an impact, could have an impact on the game script for these coaches and how they use their quarterbacks and the passing offense. Louisville is a team that wants to run the ball anyways. They are definitely going to be best served running the football against Florida State here because the Seminoles are really moving in that offense or in that defensive front. The defensive line is generating a ton of pressure. Jared Verse, the pass rush, has been really, really good. 23.4% sack rate, which is 4th in the country, and an over 40% pressure rate, which is 3rd in the country. This is a team that does not want to get into those pure dropbacks situations on 3rd down or really just dropping back too much. The run game has to be effective here to open up the play action game to be able to make their passing plays, because you get into some pure passing downs and you're going to see this defense pin their ears back in the pass rush and really get after Jack Plummer. So I do think the run game will be a focal point here for Louisville because they've had some protections or some issues lately in protection. Run defense, though, for Florida State, not nearly as good of a unit as this pass rush. 63rd in EPA against the run, giving up over 5 yards per carry, which is 80th in the country. So Guerrero should get some good volume here. I like him a little bit more than I like Jordan. If Jordan was healthy, I'd love Jordan in this matchup, but he just doesn't seem to be anywhere near that. So I like going to Guerrero, who in a game for Louisville to win the ACC, I think they'll be going to the guy that they think gives them the best chance to run the ball effectively. I think Guerrero is that guy. He's run it really well the last 4 weeks now. So I like him to go over 62.5 rushing yards. Okay, those are my 4 favorite plays for championship week in college football. Guys, we'll have more coming when it comes to post-election Sunday, getting you ready for our college football playoff matchups, getting you ready for eventually the national championship, and who knows, we'll probably have more for you during bowl season. But guys, if you enjoyed today's video, please do hit that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel as well so you don't miss future content here in college football. And then as well, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm sure I'll have some more plays here this weekend. That link will be down below in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.